So what we're doing today is checking the answers on the video. Lesson 16, the most famous ratio of all. This one is number 2 on the front. And what they gave you was a circle inside of a square. And they tell you here that this side of the square is 16 inches. If you slid that line over to the center of the circle, it would be here. If we could somehow move it. So that 16-inch line is equivalent to the diameter of the circle. So if they want us to find the circumference, and they do, we're going to use the formula for circumference, and that is circumference equals pi times diameter. Same formula every time. So we'll plug in our numbers. We want the circumference. We don't know it yet. They tell us to use 3.14 for pi. Multiply that by the diameter, 16. Pull up my calculator real quick. And we're going to get the circumference equals 50 and 24 hundredths inches. So which means it's about 50 inches around that circle. If we were to take a tape measure and measure the distance all the way around the circle, it would be this, slightly over 50 inches. On to number 3. So number 3 has 3 parts, and the first part is asking us to explain in words how we would find the perimeter of this semicircle. So keep in mind that perimeter is the distance around. So what do we have here? We have an arc, which is really half of the circumference. Halfway around the circle. And what we need to add to that is this line, because perimeter means distance all the way around. So we would need to add this on. Well, what is this? It's the diameter. So if we did half of the circumference plus the diameter, that would give us the perimeter. Half the circumference plus the diameter. Part B says, using D to represent the diameter of the circle, write an algebraic equation that will result in the perimeter of the circle. So it would be exactly what we just said. 1/2 of the circumference plus the diameter would equal the perimeter. And that would work every time for a semicircle. It says part C, write another algebraic equation to represent the perimeter of a semicircle using R to represent the radius. So the only difference in that would be that the radius is this distance. Radius is, change colors. The radius is halfway across the circle, half of the diameter. So if we were going to use radius, it's going to be half of the circumference plus 2 times the radius, because we would need 2 of them to equal the diameter, equals perimeter. So those are your solutions for number 3. Okay, number 4 says find the perimeter of the semicircle and let 3.14 equal pi. So we're going to use that formula that we just talked about. That perimeter of a semicircle is going to be half of the circumference plus the diameter will give us the perimeter. So if we were to find the entire circumference of this circle, circumference equals pi times diameter. They told us to use 3.14 for pi times a diameter of 17, 3.14 times 17 is 53.38. Now that would give us the full circumference, the distance all the way around the circle. We only want half, so we're going to divide by 2. And we're going to get 26.69 as half of the circumference. Half of the circumference is 26.69 plus the diameter, which is 17, is going to give us the perimeter. 43.69 is the perimeter. 26.69 inches here as half of this circumference, and the other 17 inches here would give us the full perimeter. Number 5, backside of the worksheet, says Ken's landscape garden business makes odd-shaped lawns that include semicircles. Find the length of the edging material needed to border the 2 lawn designs in part A and B. So this is part A only. So we have a semicircle shaped lawn. He wants to put an edging around that whole lawn. So this is a perimeter problem. So in order to find that perimeter, we need half of the circumference and then the diameter. Whoops, let me erase all this first. So half of the circumference plus the diameter. It says the radius of this flower bed is 2.5. So not the diameter, but the radius halfway across is 2.5. Which means all the way across would be another 2.5 for a total of 5. So the diameter is 5. Now let's find the circumference. To find circumference, it's a different formula. Circumference equals pi times diameter. So 3.14 times that diameter of 5 is going to give us 15.7. We only want half of it, half the circumference, so divide that by 2. And you're going to get 7.85. This is half of the circumference. So that's going to go here. We're going to add half of the circumference with the diameter, and that will give us the full perimeter. Half of the circumference plus the diameter. That would get us all the way around the lawn. So our answer is going to be 12.85 meters. All right, here's part B on number 5. Again, we're finding the perimeter of a lawn, and this one's really weird shaped. Perimeter is going to be the total outside edges. So here we look, it looks like we have half of a perimeter that we need edging for. I'm sorry, not half of a perimeter, half of a circumference, half circle. And then we have 2 lines here. We have a 6-meter line here. And we have a 6-meter line here. They have those measures in here, 6 meters and 6 meters. This 10-meter line is not going to be used in the perimeter because it's on the inside of the shape. But we do need it because it's the diameter. So we're going to get half of a circumference plus 6 plus 6. So let's just call that plus 12. That's going to give us the perimeter. So all we need to find is this half of a circumference. So to get full circumference, it's pi times diameter, or 3.14 times the diameter of 10. That's going to give us 31.4 as the circumference. We want half of it. going to give us 15.7. So 15.7 meters is half of the circumference plus 12. It's going to give us 27.7 meters for the perimeter.